Okay, hey everyone. Um, let's see if we can get the slides on. My name is Ifeanyi Christwin. I go by Christwin on the Web3 spaces. So today I'll be speaking to you about a decentralized physical infrastructure network that we could use to actually solve this NEPA issue that we have in real life today. So I'm sure that everybody here is familiar with the problem of light, the problem of electricity. This is something that I've experienced it a lot. It's been a big problem for me, especially during the COVID-19 break, where I had to stay at home and there was blackout in my area. I had no access to power. I am a developer. I could not work. I was entirely cut off from the rest of the world. So I took it upon myself to actually start investigating ways to build an alternative system that is much more resilient to what we currently have with the centralized grid. So my team and I were able to develop a protocol that makes it possible for anybody, anywhere in the world, to become an energy provider. Essentially, you can become someone's NEPA if you have the resources through the power of Web3. So it's known as the DePIN protocol, and it works in a very interesting way. You can think of it like having all the properties of the blockchain, but being able to apply those properties in real life. The way we do this is in renewable energy financing. Sorry, this is going to be a little bit technical, especially the next slide. In renewable energy financing, there is something called a power purchase agreement. So it's basically an agreement between a party that is buying electricity and a party that provides the electricity. NEPA uses this kind of thing. But we're able to take that kind of contract and put it as a smart contract on the blockchain. In this case, I used the EVM because I'm an Ethereum maxi, but you can use any other blockchain network of your choice, Stellar or Solana or any other network. So we put that power purchase agreement as a smart contract on the blockchain, and then we have a hardware smart meter that is able to connect directly to that smart contract and acts as the enforcer of the state of that smart contract in real life. So what this makes possible is that you can recharge your smart meter by making stablecoin payments on the blockchain and you get light. So the energy provider is now able to maybe take his resources, install solar for a commercial building, a residential building with this smart meter and this smart contract on the blockchain, and be able to sell electricity to you wherever they may be in the world. They can be in Kenya, they can be in South Africa, they may be in China, and they're able to do this to finance solar for a business, for an individual, for a developer. You will be able to have power, make payments on the blockchain, and the person receives their revenue directly from there. So there's a lot more stuff happening here. You can see here, we have the permanent data storage from the hardware that makes it such that it's entirely transparent what's happening on the chain. You're able to go back and see the logs of all the activities from the hardware and basically audit your own energy usage if you feel like the device is not being honest, and contest it on chain. If you're able to contest it, you may be able to gain rebates for any mischarges, or even get rewarded by the protocol for identifying bad actors. Down here, we do have a bonding curve contract. It's actually an ERC20 token used to incentivize energy providers to provide these services using the protocol. So many DePINs have this model where, like, if you are familiar with something like Ycrypt or Helium, you install a device, you are mining the token of that particular protocol, and you are getting rewarded for actually using it. That's something similar we did with this bonding curve here, where the energy provider can bond the revenue they are receiving into that bonding curve and receive those tokens as reward. And those tokens are part of the core design of the protocol in a way that it creates positive incentives, not just the revenue that you're getting from the energy provider, but you're getting additional token incentives to actually facilitate the growth of the protocol even faster. So let me go a little bit deeper into what happens with the token. There's this thing called network effects, where you have something like Facebook. You use Facebook or use TikTok because you have a lot of friends that you can connect with on TikTok, a lot of content creators on TikTok that attract the consumers. And because the consumers are coming into TikTok, a lot of content creators now also want to join TikTok. So it's like a self-sustaining loop that reinforces itself. We're able to do the same thing using those token rewards I just mentioned, where you have energy providers start to use the protocol and provide electricity to consumers. Then these consumers are creating revenue back to these energy providers instead, and in addition to the token rewards that they'll be receiving, which attracts even more consumers to want to use this protocol. And then more energy providers also want to be on this protocol because of all the rewards and all the consumers that are being onboarded into it. So we have been able to deploy this on mainnet twice. Our initial deployment was on the IOTX network. For those of you that are familiar with DePIN, you will be familiar with the IOTX chain. It's a blockchain that is specifically focused on IoT devices. We also did another deployment on Gnosis chain, which is a much more larger layer 1 network, but it has DAI, the DAI stablecoin, as its native asset, which made user experience for onboarding new users much easy for us, and we decided to also deploy on that. There are a couple of projects that are currently live on the protocol. So we have Solar Foundation, which is an actual foundation that does non-profit solar projects in Africa. They said to adopt the protocol, and they have onboarded quite a number of projects of theirs and using it to sell electricity to like schools in Africa via the protocol. We have Tech and Son, which has kind of like a container model, a charging container. They set up like a container where you can go charge your phone, your laptop, and they use the metering protocol with the smart meter to bill people for using the electricity being generated on these containers. And with this, Helios is based off continent, actually. It's in Chile, in South America. So they have like a solar farm that is exporting energy to a brewery. And the brewery is buying the electricity from the solar farm using the metering protocol. So the ecosystem is still very young, but we are seeing quite significant adoption from players in the space. So I would like to also use this as an avenue to employ all of you here to join the DAO governing the metering protocol and participate in decentralizing it even further, contributing in ways that you can, be you a developer or whatever role that you feel you could play. It's going to be very interesting to have more people become participants in this protocol, especially in the very early days. The more people we have, the more opinions that go into the design of the protocol, and we have something that works for everybody's own needs, not just maybe the needs and use cases that I've been able to think of by myself. So I'll be taking any questions if we have any questions here. You could always connect with me on Farcaster. That's my ENS handle. And you can scan the QR code to get my business cards as well. So any questions, I'll be willing to take them. Okay, no questions?
My question is more of like a request. I don't know if you could like talk about DePIN, because I don't want to assume we all know what DePIN is. So can you just talk about DePIN?
Okay, that's actually very interesting. So DePIN stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network. It's a use case of Web3 where you have token incentives being used to reward people that actually exist in real life like you and I, not maybe smart contracts on the blockchain, do actual work in real life, similar to the way you have Bitcoin mining. But you could do the same thing for something like a wireless network. You could do the same thing for ride sharing. You could do the same thing for mapping. You have Hive Mapper, a protocol that allows you to take your phone, put it as a dash cam, drive around and collect mapping data and submit it to the protocol and get rewarded for that data you're contributing. So these are like Web3 projects. They have tokens. They use those tokens to reward their users for participating and helping build out a network. Like, that's basically the idea of DePIN. So in this case here, we have like an energy network that we're trying to build out, microgrids, interconnected energy systems, and everybody's solar panel will participate in this particular system by using the protocol, adopting it, and using it to sell electricity to your neighbor, to a business of your choice. You could come in as groups, like form DAOs, like you can have the Web3 DAO that be formed by everybody in this room today, governed by all of us. We create a token that we use to govern the DAO, and we're contributing to it. Fund solar panels to maybe keep the light on here, because I see it been glitching on and off throughout the entire talk. And we have more sustainable light. And they pay us into the DAO again, and we distribute it to everybody that's participating in the DAO. So it's live today. You can do it on any chain of your choice. Like I mentioned earlier, it's not just EVM chains. Any chain of your choice, you can deploy the metering protocol to it and begin to contribute and earn from the protocol. I think if there is no other question, that will be the end of my talk.